I've always made, or I claim that I've always made mainstream movies. Because when you have a real good story to tell and very good actors, it's always mainstream. Sometimes, in a way, it was probably the secret mainstream.
Mr. Herzog, as opposed to the documentaries, which have been, in a way, the real focus of your more recent work, now to dramatic feature films, does that represent a change in your interests or what you're trying to do in your work?
No, it's all movies that I make. The documentaries are not real documentaries. Many of them are feature films in disguise, as I keep saying.
That distinction doesn't mean very much to you, and of course there are elements of fiction in your nonfiction films.
Sure, of course, yes. I stylize, I invent, I do things that the accountants of truth would not do. But I'm a storyteller.
In these two new films, and again, it's sort of hard not to see them in combination because they are coming out in such close succession. Both of them have elements of the police procedural. You might think these are much more conventional films than they are.
The detective side in both films isn't that important.
Yes.
And you can never predict what is coming next, neither in The Bad Lieutenant nor in My Son, What Have You Done? It's utterly unpredictable. It's not like you see very often in movies nowadays where you can foretell after 5 minutes this detective is going to solve the mystery, or this young man will fall in love with this girl, and it actually happens without any fail.
Yeah.
In particular, My Son, What Have You Done? You can never know what is coming next.
Both Bad Lieutenant and My Son are about madness, which has, of course, been a theme in your career. What can you say about the madness of these two characters?
Well, you should be careful. I think in Nicolas Cage's case, it's completely demented, and it should be as vile and as debased and as hilarious as it can get. In My Son, it is not the clinical insanity that interested me. You see, I met the real murderer once and decided not to do it again. And part of his insanity was he believed that he would, by sacrificing his own mother, save the planet. And he wanted to be crucified live on national television. So, and he was totally upset that the trial didn't even happen, and he was declared unfit for standing trial by reason of insanity. So, if I had been into that side, the clinical insanity, it would have been an uninteresting film. It would have been an interesting case for forensic psychiatrists, but not for me as a movie maker and not for you as the audience.
I'm surprised you left that Messiah complex aspect. The crucifixion sounds like an amazing image going through this character's mind, but you chose not to include that.
Well, there are many other things that I know about him that are even crazier, but I'm not going to speak about it on camera.
Yeah. Let me ask you about the Nicolas Cage part. I've never really been clear whether Nicolas Cage is a good actor or a bad actor, and I wasn't clear whether...
How can you ask that?
Well, I just wasn't clear about his attitude toward the part or your attitude toward him. I mean, there are parts pieces where he sort of is the Hunchback of Notre Dame doing a Richard Nixon impression. I mean, it's so over the top that he seems to have an ironic relationship with the part, or you have an ironic relationship with his playing the part.
No, I think his acting is absolutely formidable. Nothing is over the top. The situation is over the top. You see actors over the top, the famous face twisters, who are not really actors, but you see some of the face twisters in the industry. He's not a face twister. It's always is something extraordinary bursting out of him. So
there's no irony in the treatment of that part.
Oh, sure, it's hilarious. It's not. I don't even know what irony exactly is, but I think it's always hilarious.
I was just looking at the prospectus for your Rogue Film School.
Yes.
You say, censorship will be enforced. There will be no talk of shamans, yoga classes, nutritional values, herbal teas, discovering your boundaries, and inner growth. Are you having a hard time with the population in LA?
No, it's with the population in general and with a pseudo babble of New Age. So I'm just making a provocative point.
And you're going to teach them lock-picking. Can you say what lock-picking means to you?
Well, I put it out in the description of the film school, which makes a point. I'm not going to teach you the technical side of filmmaking. You should rather be ready to forge your own shooting permit. If in some country like Peru, where I shot Fitzcarraldo, I was not allowed to move anywhere because it was a military dictatorship at the time. Yes. And I came up with a 4-page, wonderfully, elaborately written shooting permit, even signed by the President of the Republic.
And that didn't do you much good in the jungle?
It did me very good in the jungle. The colonel who had actually ordered a soldier to open fire at our ship because we wouldn't stop. He saw this and saluted and said, "Pass." But don't ask me who wrote the signature of the president. Just take a look at me and take a guess. So it was all forgery.
Yeah.
And you should be ready to do things like that.